Welcome, everyone, to the March 10th, 2022 meeting of the Camden County Board of Education. And if you could, please take a moment of silence. Thank you. I give the opportunity for consideration of an open session agenda changes.
Yes, sir. Could you add PRC 071 to the action agenda, please?
That will be item G. Any other open session agenda changes? If not, entertain a motion to accept the agenda as amended. Motion by Dr. Banks to accept the March 10th, 2022 meeting of the Camden County Board of Education as amended. Seconded by Ms. Idlet. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Public comment.
No one signed up for public comment.
All right. Everyone can please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Open session to appear.
No one has requested to appear.
Consent agenda. Motion by Ms. Islet to approve the consent agenda. Seconded by Mr. Heath. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Information updates, school safety and security update. Mr. Lawrence.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
So real quick, just go over strategic goal 1, plan 1, where we at with that. We've determined the safety and security annual assessment for the sites and buildings. I've been working on that physical security assessments. That's done. Now I'm just working on some other things and then come inside and focus on some things. Review the plan submitted to emergency management. We actually had a meeting yesterday. Emergency management was here, so I'm going to be working with them some on that. Dr. Farrell had already developed a school safety and security team at each school. So we met yesterday, develop a plan and schedule drills. We do have that. We're starting to plan out some drills in the near future. So that will be forthcoming. Any questions on that? Any of that stuff? Assess what training staff has and focus on certain certifications, what skills and staff possess. With that, rolling into the second part, all employees will take the Incident Command ICS 100 and 200, which is through the Incident Command System. That's going to be for all staff by the start of next year. We'd like to do that. And then by the central office staff and principals by end of this year, by June 30th. And what that is so that it's developed so that no matter who's where, what's going on, it's all the same. So if Dr. Farrell's not here and Miss Anderson's in charge or Anna, then they understand the role and everybody understands. It's just plug and play type thing. It's just real nice and makes it easy. And it's just straight up and down. So, and then the 300 with those 100 and 200 is online at their pace. 300 is in person, face to face. We have different instructors we've talked to. And we're trying to get that done for principals and central office staff before school starts. But that's just going to take a little bit of time because it is in person. Identify awareness and response training for district. So we talked about it yesterday. We're kind of working through some things and then some different threats and training maybe we want to work on as a group. Anna actually has a pretty good list of employees that will be trained with CPR and AED. Kind of going through that, make sure we're squared away, rolling into next year. Any questions? Kind of going kind of fast. We good? All right. One category I asked them yesterday at the meeting was one category from the emergency response document covered at each school safety meeting. I have attended those at each school's meetings, and they said they're going over that, and it's just as well as with staff, whichever one of the principals pick. Provide specific education to various groups of stakeholders, school level, parents, emergency personnel, community. I've reached out to the principals and asked, and Dr. Farrell as well. I know before we did vaping, social media. There's something that we need, that we feel like is a issue, then we'll come together. I know Mr. Reeves has reached out to the SBI in the past. We can come together and put together some information and a presentation for the parents. Just need to know what kind of direction we have. The only thing we're having now is we're just kind of on a hard deadline against the end of the school year, because once spring break hits, and that's, we kind of think in testing mode, right? So develop means to the effectiveness of steps to educate stakeholders. How effective is that? The presentations. So they seem to be pretty effective in the past, but we'll evaluate them as we move forward. Investigate safety and security assessments. Once I get it together, I'll present it, Dr. Farrell, into the cabinet. He'll probably roll it to you. We'll look at it and go through it with maintenance and pick. It's probably can't do everything at one time, but pick what is most important to you, and then start working your way down. Timeline for a year to kind of walk through that, which items have already been addressed. Some of them have been, and determine the need for upgrade and identify the following. Let's see. And then the reunification, been through that as part of it as well, kind of been through that, and has reached out to the some locations that we had in the past, and they're all solid and secured. They've all been contacted, and that's all taken care of. I'll have all that Dr. Farrell by tomorrow, first of the week, for everything on that. So, any questions? I think I've got a lot going on, so I'm just gonna. Okay. Look, you good?
Good.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you.
School highlights, Ms. Stevens, principal of Camden Early College High School.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for having me tonight to showcase the early college staff and students. While this year has been a struggle at the beginning, now we have come past COVID and masks, and we have been able to provide some educational hands-on opportunities for our students and some fun to go along with it. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Black for helping me this week with this PowerPoint presentation, and I hope you enjoy it. questions, comments?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Camden County School Strategic Plan Update, Ms. Norfleet, Chief Financial Officer.
I'm here to update you on goal 3, which is to focus on providing adequate resources to all schools in a manner to ensure that students and staff have an opportunity to learn. There are 4 strategies under goal 3. I have focused primarily on strategy 3.2, which is educate budget stakeholders across the district. Those action steps are 3.2.1, create educational material to go out and educate others. I've done this with each budget season. Dr. Farrell and myself have sent out a PowerPoint that shows how the school system receives funds and how they are spent. 3.2.2 is provide open communication between staff at all levels. I have tried very hard to keep all staff members updated when anything comes out concerning budget and how that impacts pay. I've also tried to make sure that Camden County School staff in all buildings know that they can call or email finance anytime if they have questions. Our office doors are always open and we are approachable. 3.2.3 is that I will attend meetings within the schools to help educate the staff on budget. As I said earlier, Dr. Farrell and myself have attended meetings with each school staff during the last 2 budget seasons. Some were virtual during COVID. Those meetings have included statistical data on funding over the past 10 years, as well as explanations of what we have received the most current year and how we can utilize those funds. I have informed staff about position allotments, dollar allotments, and months of employment allotments. So that's been my primary focus, has been the 3.2. So, is there any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Summer daycare program calendar, Ms. Lane, Student Services.
Good evening. The calendar is actually quite simple if you have a copy of it. First day is going to be on June the 1st, and the week of July 4th is a vacation week, and it's closed during that time. And the last day of the program is August 19th. I do have to say that we try to get 60 students in the program, but we will go as high as 65 in the summertime. And we have 58 already registered. So here it is in March, and we've got 58 kids that are already, or 58 that are already in the program. And I haven't seen Teresa Brady as excited as she is right now in a long time. She's got a lot of good stuff already planned for field trips and that sort of thing. So the summer program feels normal again. So everything's coming right along as it should. Any questions? Thank you.
Student board members update.
All right, so for GPS, next month is their fun run. It's the biggest fundraiser of the year. You can look out for more information on that. On 2/22/22, GPS celebrated this special day by wearing tutus, tiaras, ties, and tennis shoes. They also celebrated Dr. Seuss's birthday on March 2nd. The book fair is coming at the end of the month. It will run from March 21st to April 1st. For CIS, 6th graders are planning to visit CMS next week for orientation. CIS is hosting a non-art competition in celebration of Youth Art Month. For CMS, the 8th graders band competed at the North Carolina Bandmasters Association Music Performance in Williamston yesterday. They earned an overall score of 3 and they won for sight reading. They had 2 students compete in the FFA Creed and Public Speaking competition on the 24th of February. The rising 7th graders are scheduled to tour CMS on March 31st and April 1st, and they are scheduled to host the Parent Informational Night for rising 7th graders on April 28th. They started the Character Strong curriculum during club week for this week for both 7th and 8th graders. The first games for spring sport are next Thursday for baseball and softball at River Road Middle School, and track is at Pasco Lake Middle School.
For CHS, congratulations to the conference cheer coach of the year, our very own Ms. Parker. Paige Strecker represented our swim team at the state meet and finished 8th in the 1A, 2A, 50 freestyle and 15th in the 1A, 2A, 100 freestyle. Our Coast Guard Junior ROTC hosted their first ever home air rifle meet. We celebrated National FFA Week and sent 2 students to compete for Northeast Regional FFA officer positions. The Student Government Association sponsored Kindness Days at CCHS on March 1st and 2nd. Spring sports went underway the first week of March with women's soccer, softball, JV, and varsity baseball, all having several games, including their first home games. Track and field will have their first meet next Wednesday, March 16th at First Flight. The ACT was administered to juniors on March 1st. The Math 1 check-in testing was administered on March 3rd. Our band performance at the NC Music Performance Assessment on Tuesday, March 8th at grade 5 and received a superior rating, which is the highest rating a band can get. The last time our band performed at this assessment was pre-COVID, and this year they performed at a higher grade level and still received the highest rating possible. They conducted the statewide tornado drill on Wednesday, March 9th. Our Spanish National Honor Society and our International Club sponsored the 3rd annual Pulsera project and volunteered at March's first Friday Art Walk. Upcoming, there is the end of the third 9 weeks on Tuesday, March 15th. Our band will perform at Gurney Primary on March 25th and be at the first Friday Art Walk on April 1st from 5 to 7. Work keys testing is on April 12th, and the class course selection occurs at the end of March, beginning of April for all grade levels. For CEC, spring sports have started, and they are very proud of their students who are participating. The juniors took the ACT on March 1st. On March 8th, the symphonic band earned a rating of superior at their band competition that was held at Riverside High School, and CEC held 8th grade student interviews for students who applied to the early college on Tuesday, March 8th and Wednesday, March 9th. They had lots of great interviews. Letters of acceptance will be mailed out next week. Thank you.
Thank you for those presentations. You have your monthly financial update in your board packet. Is there any questions? Seeing none, we'll move to the action agenda. Item A, face coverings policy.
As a reminder, current legislation requires that local boards of education consider its face coverings policy once each month until June of 2022. With that, I will turn it over to the board to discuss and take any necessary action.
Floor is open.
Do we even need the
10%.
10% threshold anymore?
Doesn't seem like it right now.
Just make it a straight optional.
Straight optional.
So make a motion to,
Before we make that motion, do we have a motion to suspend policy 2420?
motion to suspend policy 2420.
Dr. Banks has made a motion to suspend policy 2420.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Heath. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. That was just to suspend our time period for review.
Make a motion to make the mask policy just a straight optional policy, no thresholds or stipulations.
So to remove the 10%.
Correct.
All right. So Dr. Banks has made a motion to strike the 10% enactment of a mandatory mask policy, which will remain, have our current mask policy to be optional only
Second.
In all settings,
in all settings.
including on school buses.
Correct.
Because it's no longer mandated.
Non-mandated by CDC. Mr. Purcell, you seconded that?
I was still seconding.
Thank you, sir. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Let's see, we now need a motion to reinstate policy 2420.
Motion to reinstate policy 2420.
Dr. Banks made a motion to reinstate policy 2420.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Heath. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried. Audit Services, Ms. Norfleet, Chief Finance Officer.
It was that time of year for me to send out for audit proposals, which back in January, Donna Hollowell informed me that she is no longer doing school audits right now due to staff shortages. But it was time to go out anyway. I did send proposals to 6 different auditing firms across the state, as well as advertised on our website. I only received 2 back, and they were due back last Thursday, March 3rd. So at 10:30, myself and Miss Anderson opened those proposals, and I had, like I said, the 2. The first one is Thompson, Scott, Price, and Adams. Their audit history is they currently serve 8 school systems in North Carolina. And their fees were as follows for the 21-22 school year, as well as the 22-23 and 23-24. It was $29,000 each year. There was no increase for the 3 years. The second was Anderson, Smith, and White. Their history is they're currently engaged to audit over 60 of the 115 school districts in North Carolina. And their fees for the 21-22 school year were $28,500, 22-23, $29,000, 23-24, $29,500. So over the 3 years, it's only $500 more than the first one. My recommendation is to go with Anderson, Smith, and White because of their experience. And I also reached out to some that had both to kind of get their opinions, and they were very highly recommended by the ones that I spoke with. So that's my recommendation. Are there any questions? Thanks.
And I agree with Sally. My recommendation to the board is that you approve Anderson, Smith, and White to conduct our audits over the next 3 years.
Motion by Ms. Adelett to approve the superintendent's recommendation of Anderson, Smith, and White for audit services for the next 3 school years, fiscal years.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Heath. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
ALP Mobile Unit, Mr. Lawrence, Chief Operations Officer.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hey, Larry Lawrence.
How you doing?
Good.
I was asked to get some numbers together for a mobile unit to put by the central office, which I did. I had put it out to 3 people, all I could find to give it out. Only 2 give me prices back. And the other one, I even called them 4 times. They said they had them. I could never get the price from them. So I had to go with 2 on that one. Ended up being, the price was changing almost daily on me. That's why I was trying to get this together pretty quick. Plus the delivery time was, I went from May to June. I'm in August now. I'm hoping we can back that up. But right now it's looking like it's going to be mid-August, early September before I can even get it. I think one of the numbers that the board may not have quite understood was the money for the sewage and water hookup and the power. I had to get a number in the system so I knew what to ask for, and I had to put a 6-month window on that because the prices change. That is not going to be the cost will actually be less than that, but I was trying to put a number in there that I could live with, and it would be good for 6 months because I didn't want to go ask for $70,000 and end up being $80,000. I can always give you money back. It's hard to come back and ask for it. So that was the reason that was done. We'll fine tune that number a little bit better now that I got some time, but I was trying to get some numbers together because the price of the trailer went up $1,300 in 15 days just for the aluminum ramps and the trailer itself. So that was the reason for a little bit of a discrepancy in there, maybe. But I would like to ask for approval to continue moving. Unless you have some questions.
The only questions I have is you'll get rebid or
Not
whether
gonna,
or not we're going plumb.
I'm gonna get some more estimates for the utility hookup.
Utility hookup.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Farrell, just for the record in the meeting, can we explain why we need to purchase the new unit, the history of the other one, the fire and everything?
Oh, so we've really been needing to address the location of our alternative learning program for a good while. It's been on this site, Camden County High School and Camden Early College, and it has also been and currently is on the middle school site. We did have a fire in the mobile that destroyed the mobile where our alternative learning program was housed. And so we did not replace that unit out there. Mr. Reeves was able to find a location in the building for it. And I guess Mr. Mazzell was, and Mr. Reeves inherited that. So it is currently inside of the building. I think it's fair to say, I don't like to speak for the principals, but what I've heard from them is it's hard to recommend long-term suspension for a student, or that a student spend some time in an alternative learning program and then you bring them right back onto your campus. And so that's why I say that it's something that we've been needing to address for a good while. Unfortunately, right now we have a little bit of a slight increase with some of the things that are going on in the school system and really throughout the world. There's just kind of some different behaviors going on around all of us right now, and so we are seeing a slight increase in students who need to access the alternative learning program. And so when all of those pieces came together, that's when I went to Mr. Lawrence and said, can you get me some prices on a mobile or modular unit? And I'd like to put it on the central office site that takes care of getting it away from the two schools where the students would have been before they were assigned to the ALP program. And so that's where we are at this point. We did receive some insurance money from the other mobile that was destroyed. And so we will use that to help fund this purchase. And then we will cover the rest of it from our capital outlay fund balance. Thank you, Sally. I appreciate that. And so that's where we are. That's the history of why we need this unit.
Thank you.
Okay. If there are no other questions for Mr. Lawrence, then my recommendation is that you approve the purchase of the modular unit or the mobile unit so that we can get him moving forward with that, with the understanding that he is going to seek additional bids on the utilities for the project.
Motion by Dr. Banks to accept the superintendent's recommendation for Mr. Lawrence to move forward with the modular unit purchase for ALP and to gain further bids on utilities. Seconded by Ms. Seidler. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, our lawn care bids, Mr. Lawrence.
I'd like to ask the board for approval to renew the lawn bid contract to our existing lawn contractor for another year. He's done a great job for us. No price increase or anything. So I'd like to get permission to roll him over.
My recommendation is that you extend the lawn care contract with the current contractor as presented by Mr. Lawrence.
Motion by Ms. Seidler to accept the superintendent's recommendation for extension of the lawn care bids as presented by Mr. Lawrence. Seconded by Dr. Banks. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Resolution for school calendar flexibility to integrate letters training for pre-K and K-5 staff. Superintendent Farrell.
Yeah, so I'm presenting to you all at your request a resolution for school calendar flexibility, particularly focused on the need for letters training over the next 2 school years. Among other things, this resolution states, whereas the current start date for the 22-23 school year calendar is August 29th, and whereas North Carolina General Statute stipulates the completion of letters training for educators working with students in grades K through 5 over the next 2 school years. And whereas the state mandated August 29th start date limits the district's ability to add sufficient mandatory and optional workdays in order for educators to complete the continuing education credit requirement of letters training. And again, among other things, it says, therefore, be it resolved that the Camden County Board of Education respectfully requests that the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction and other governing bodies approve Camden County Schools' request for calendar flexibility. And I am seeking your approval.
Any comments or additions to the resolution? Motion to approve the resolution as printed. Motion by Ms. Adler to approve the resolution for school calendar flexibility to integrate letters training for pre-K and K-5 staff and to proceed forward to our state officials.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Heath. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Sign that tonight and get her submitted. 2021-22 summer program plan. Ms. Lasher, Chief Academic Officer.
Good evening. Each year prior to COVID, we would have to submit a plan if we wanted to offer a summer school program to our students in grades 3 through 8, and then with some high school courses that would allow us the opportunity to re-administer the EOGs and EOCs to our students. Those, however, do not play into our growth analysis for school accountability or for educator effectiveness. It does allow for some credit recovery, and that we are hoping to provide in another summer school option through PRC 176, which is the Summer Bridge Academy that I hope to come share with you next month. So this particular summer program, we have chosen to not participate in the past few years, and that's what we would like to do as well for the upcoming summer.
My recommendation is that you approve the plan to not participate in this particular summer learning opportunity for students as presented by Ms. Lasher.
Motion by Ms. Adler to accept the superintendent's recommendation to not accept the 2021-22 summer program as presented by Ms. Lasher.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Heath. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Supplemental funds for teacher compensation, PRC 071, Ms. Norfleet.
I apologize. I'm going to pretty much read this so I don't leave anything out. Through the Appropriations Act of 2021, the North Carolina General Assembly created a recurring appropriation to provide funding for LEAs and charter schools in North Carolina to provide salary supplements to teachers and school administrators in their units. This funding is known as PRC 071. The allotment formula and policy were approved by the State Board on January 5th, 2022. The following requirements must be adhered to when administering the funding. The local Board of Education is responsible for determining the distribution of the local supplement within the confines of the legislature. No individual salary supplement shall exceed the per teacher funding amount awarded to the LEA. PRC 071 may only be used to provide supplements to the following: certified teachers and instructional support personnel. Teachers and instructional support personnel are those who are required to be paid from the legislative certified teacher salary schedule and are coded to a school. The positions included in the certified teacher salary schedule and eligible for the supplement are classroom teachers, CTE teachers, program enhancement teachers such as art, music, PE, Spanish, math coach, psychologist, guidance counselors, speech language pathologist, social worker, nurses, and media coordinators. These funds may only be used for assistant principals who are paid on the teacher pay scale and principals who are paid on the teacher or assistant principal pay scale. We do not have any in our district assistant principals or principals that are not they are paid on their respective scales, so they are not eligible for this supplement. PRC 071 may not be used to provide supplements to central office employees or non-certified employees, which includes myself, bookkeepers, maintenance workers, mechanics, teacher assistants, bus drivers, cafeteria workers, daycare workers, and any substitute workers. When planning for the expenditure of funds provided through PRC 071, LEA should ensure that they consider the following factors. They're required to determine the distribution of funds, including whether an individual qualifying receives a supplement and the amount of the supplement provided. The local board shall develop and adopt an administrative process and/or policy for determining the individuals to receive supplements and the amount of the individual salary supplements. While the funding for this allotment is recurring, the funding we receive may vary from year to year, including both the overall allotment amount and the per teacher maximum amount. The funding provided pursuant to PRC 071 is for salary supplements. Employee compensation provided from these funds is to be treated as salary and not to be considered a bonus or stipend. So that makes these funds subject to retirement. Our current retirement rate for matching is 24.1%. So for each supplement given, almost a quarter more is matching retirement. And LEA is permitted to determine the intervals of payment for the salary supplements funds to any individual employee, such as monthly, annually, biannually, quarterly. And LEA is not required to provide the maximum per teacher supplement amount to any individual employees. LEAs have the flexibilities to determine the amounts of supplements provided for any individual position in accordance with identified staffing needs and may elect to provide amounts less than the max to allow for distribution to a broader range of teachers and eligible school administrators. Camden County Schools was given a total allotment amount of $799,587 with a maximum per teacher amount without benefits of $4,101. We have 152.5 personnel that are considered teachers and instructional support. If we gave the maximum amount to all 152.5, that would cost $823,967.79, which is $24,380.79 over our allotment. If we give all 152.5 employees $3,979.65, that will cost $799,586.30, which only leaves 70 cents left over. I want to remind you that back in January, we gave the $1,000 training bonus to the same 152.5 personnel and had to supplement $38,693.50 of local funds to make that happen. I do not feel comfortable having to supplement a state shortfall with local funds. My recommendation is dividing the supplement evenly among the 152.5 personnel with the funding received, which would be $3,979.65 each. I'm also recommending that we pay this year's PRC 071 supplement on April 28th, and each recurring year paying any future amounts into two payments, half in October and half in April. So, are there any questions?
Thank you, Sam.
My recommendation is that you approve the plan to pay the PRC 071 funds supplements to teachers and instructional staff as presented by Ms. Norfleet.
Motion by Dr. Banks to accept the superintendent's recommendation to pay the PRC 071 teacher compensation of supplemental funds as presented by Ms. Norfleet with a payment date in 2022 of April 28th.
Yes.
And following school years to be half October, half April.
Yes.
Seconded by Ms. Idlet. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
Superintendent's recommendation from closed session, employment of personnel.
My recommendation is that you approve the personnel report with the exception of the CTE director as presented by Ms. Anderson in closed session.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Heath to accept the superintendent's recommendation for employment as presented by Ms. Anderson without the CTE director.
Second.
Seconded by Dr. Banks. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. My second recommendation is that you approve the contract renewal and extension of the CTE director as presented by Ms. Anderson in closed session.
Madam Secretary, could you have for the record that I am recusing myself from this vote of any potential motion?
Make a motion for the approval of the CTE.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Banks to accept the superintendent's recommendation for contract extension for the CTE director. Seconded by Ms. Adlet. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That's a vote of 4-0. All right. Announcements, Board of Education budget work session will be Thursday, March 16th, 5 p.m. at the central office. College of the Albemarle's graduation will be Wednesday, May the 11th, which includes Camden Early College High School students who have earned an associate's degree. Event time is yet to be decided. Camden Early College High School graduation will be Saturday, May 21st, 10 a.m. in the Camden County High School Gymnasium. Camden County High School graduation will be Friday, May 27th, 7 p.m. on the football field. Future conference date for North Carolina School Board Association annual conference will be Monday, November 14th through Wednesday, November 16th, 2022. Go ahead. Dr.
Yes.
Farrell has an
As a
announcement.
reminder to the board, we have at the invitation of our CTE director, the Camden Middle School Career and Tech Lab visit is scheduled for next Tuesday, March 15th at 10 a.m. As a reminder, our CTE director invited our board as well as our county government, and we do have some of those folks attending, and I understand that some of you are attending as well. I just wanted to remind you all that that is happening on Tuesday morning, March 15th at 10 a.m. at the middle school. If you haven't seen that lab, it's pretty impressive.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Dr. Farrell. Does anybody have any other business or future agenda items? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to recess open session to return to closed.
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Adlet to recess open session and return to closed session. Seconded by Mr. Heath. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're going back into closed session, and we do thank everyone for coming. And we do not intend to make any action after we come out of closed session.